And we are live. Greetings to all the faithful and all the patrons in the building. Once again, this is Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief, using that moniker tonight. And joining me here tonight, first and foremost, I want to give a huge shout out to my man, Random Black Gamer. What's happening?
What up, what up, what up? Yeah, this is your boy RBG, aka the Random Black Gamer, coming in with another Marvel review with my boy OAW. And it's awesome to be here. I cannot wait to talk about this movie, man.
And also joining us tonight is my man over at Shining Otaku Comics, my man Irvin. Tell the people what's up.
Hey, what's up, guys? How you guys feeling? You know, happy to be here. Happy to, of course, talk about Spider-Man and talk about some comics and how it all relates together.
That's right. And we are here bringing you all our review of Spider-Man Far From Home. So I want to thank you all for watching, all of you all joining us on this 4th of July evening. We'll make this one quick. It won't be hella long because I know people got stuff to do. I'm trying to beat the fireworks myself, trying to knock this out before it gets too dark. And but yeah, I wanted to go ahead and knock this review out. This is pretty much going to be kickstarting Spider-Man week here on the channel because I got some other Spider-Man related content that'll be popping up around later this weekend, as well as the long-awaited Future of the MCU live stream that we're going to be doing sometime later this weekend as well. But for all of the faithful and all the patrons watching, keep eyes on the YouTube channel, on the OAW Facebook page, and on the OAW Twitter for updates as developments continue. But tonight, we're going to go ahead, give you all the Spider-Man Far From Home review. I just got done watching it earlier today. I went early this first thing this morning. I went, knocked it out. And so let's start things off with our overall thoughts on the film. And I'm going to start with my man, Random Black Gamer.
Well, I just got to say that I thoroughly enjoyed this film. Like, I really enjoyed Spider-Man Homecoming, you know, despite some of the things like the flaws that I had with it. But I feel like this is like Spider-Man Homecoming with more other things that other fans who didn't like that film wanted, like more spectacle, more action sequences, instead of the more grounded level things, just trying to build Spider-Man up. It seems like Marvel has listened, and like rightfully so. I guess you can assume that Spider-Man has, you know, become more seasoned, especially since he's been dealing with intergalactic threats and stuff like that. So really enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed the story and the pacing a lot better in this one than I did in Homecoming. And what else can I say? Oh, yeah. If you guys didn't dig the special effects up in the last Spider-Man film, you're really going to enjoy this one. Heard that they worked with the same team that did the Amazing Spider-Man 2's CG. So, yeah, it was pretty good. Pretty good.
All right. How about you, Irvin?
All right. Well, I'm going to be honest. When I first went to see this movie, I didn't really know how I was going to feel about it because I'm thinking, okay, you're ending this off on a big high note with, well, I don't know if you would say high note, but if you've seen Endgame, of course, then you know, it ends with, an ending that some people expected, some people didn't. Regardless, it had big implications, to avoid any spoilers if you still haven't seen Endgame. But going into this film, we're not really sure what to expect. You have these elementals, of course, that are running rampant and nobody really heard of them. But I feel like there was a lot of twists in the movie that you got a chance to see. And the way that they did it, and some of the surprises that they had, even, a particular actor at the very end that made a surprise appearance that reprised the role from one of the previous Spider-Man films. Overall, I felt like they knew how to satisfy, I would say, a lot of the true Spider-Man fans out there, people who already know about certain characters. You didn't feel as though you walked into this film and got the, how would I say, like the same, like kind of like the same old thing you would get from a typical Marvel movie. I felt like it felt similar to how Homecoming did, but it built off of it in a positive way. I only have like some minor criticisms about the film, but overall, I would say it was one of the better ones. I would probably give it maybe like a 8.5 if I were to give it like an overall.
Yeah, so my overall thoughts, a lot in line with you guys. I would go as far as to say that this is the best live action Spider-Man since Spider-Man 2. Easy the best live action one since Spider-Man 2. Much better than its predecessor, Spider-Man Homecoming. The writing was much better. The comedy was much better. The acting was much better. As you mentioned, Random Black Gamer, the visuals were leagues better. This movie, every bit of it was an improvement over Homecoming. And for a sequel, that's what you want. Yeah. And I'm just going to leave my overall thoughts right there because we're going to get into a little bit more detail about each little section. But yes, I stand by that statement. The best live action Spider-Man since Spider-Man 2. So with that said, let's go ahead and let's jump into the story and let's jump into the writing. Now, the synopsis of this film, from those of y'all who have seen the trailer and seen commercials, it is pretty much as advertised. Essentially, Spider-Man gets recruited by Nick Fury and Mysterio to help fend off a threat, which are these giant elemental creatures that are attacking Europe. And it just so happens that Spider-Man is in Europe on a summer vacation with his classmates during this time. So that pretty much sets up the main conflict for the film. Essentially that's what it is. Until we find out about the main villain, about the villain's motives and his plans and whatnot, we do learn that the plot was sort of orchestrated, but by and large, that is our main conflict. While this is going on, Peter is also trying to initiate his romance with Zendaya's character, MJ. I'm not calling her Mary Jane because her name ain't Mary Jane. It's MJ. All right. That's MJ. He is trying to, engage in this, romantic relationship with MJ. And I mean, that's pretty much the bulk of the plot. That's pretty much all it is. That's pretty much all it is. But I will give the film kudos. It's one of those keep it simple, stupid, the KISS method, right?
Yeah.
Keep it simple, stupid, keep it stupid, simple. That's just to lay the groundwork for all of the character stuff that we do in the film. Most of which I think is actually pretty good. So, Random Black Gamer, let me hear your thoughts on the story overall and on the writing.
Okay, well, me and you had briefly discussed this, that the first Spider-Man Homecoming had a total of 6 writers on that particular film. And like me and you both discussed, some of the comedic jokes, like the timing, some of it did not just land. It was a little sloppy, but this one seems to be a lot more better. It's well paced, and the jokes, they land pretty well, and even with some of the running gags. As far as like some of the characters, I feel like MJ has really grown on me. You kind of understand more because she was one of the most annoying elements up in Far From Home. You don't like those try hard, edgy characters, but there are certain layers to our character that you get to understand later on in the film. So I really enjoyed that. And I like how the actress, Zendaya, how she messes well with Tom Holland up in this movie right here. I think the story, from a story perspective regarding Mysterio, like if you're a diehard comic book fan who just has like certain ideals on what you want Mysterio to be, I think this film is really going to do it for you. It's beautiful noise, beautiful visual noise in the best way possible. You're not going to leave the theaters disappointed when you see this. Like, I think the screen action and everything is like probably the best that you're going to see out of any other Spider-Man films. Like The Amazing Spider-Man 2, as bad as that film was, it was probably my favorite in terms of the visual action, and especially from Spider-Man's web swinging. But this movie blows you out of the water, man. Like, you're going to love that. What else do I have to say, man? Because I feel like my thoughts are all over the place because I haven't seen the movie again. It's one of those movies that you need to see again because there's certain instances that you wouldn't notice the first time going in, but the second time you're going to notice it. I'll definitely say that the rewatchability is a lot better in this one than Homecoming.
Yes, dude. I was in the theater And like halfway through the movie, I'm like, yeah, I'm probably gonna watch this like 10, 12 more times.
Right, like I say, it has that beautiful visual noise that that Homecoming was lacking, and there's certain instances that I think that they deliberately did, thanks to just reducing the number of writers down to 2, which I think what was that, Endgame and Infinity War, they had 2 writers and 2 directors.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've hit that sweet spot where they know that like, let's just go with 2 writers instead of 6. You guys can do a better job like that and tell a better cohesive story with better pacing. So yeah, like one of the best stories. Not my. I don't want to say like it's my. I can give it a number 2 spot. I still say that Spider-Man 2 is probably my favorite Spider-Man in terms of story. Yeah, I'll give it. I'll say it's my number 2 Spider-Man film and probably my number 4 MCU film.
I don't know where to rank it with the MCU yet, but
yeah, it's hard.
It's one of the better ones. I
have to say Civil War for me.
Well, real quick, before I give my thoughts on the story, Irvin, what were some of your thoughts on the story and on the writing?
Okay, so if I were to just start off in terms of the fact that I love how they changed the environment. That's something, if you think about all the Spider-Man films, each of them all took place in like New York for the most part. They didn't really, which makes sense because Spider-Man's a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, but we got to finally see him placed in a different element. You having to see him act in that element. So I think that's good for the character, of course, to be able to do a little bit of that and get a little bit of a change of pace. Now, as far as for the, like kind of touching on the comedy, guys, when you guys are speaking on like how well placed the comedy was, I love that they that kept the joke that they have with like Aunt May, and that's sort of like a minor spoiler, like the whole joke with her being younger and what they did with Tony Stark and and the Homecoming movie. They kept that going a little bit, but it wasn't like it was like pushed super heavily throughout the movie or became dry or stale or anything like that.
I'll say this. I'm sorry to cut you off. I'll say that the jokes are kind of used as vehicles to give the characters something to do.
Yeah, exactly. So you didn't. Like even when they made a joke or when they placed comedy, it's like there's some scenes in the movie where you're figuring, dang, I wonder what's happening with some of the other characters while this is going on. It's not like you're just sitting there wondering. They actually had to do something with these characters. They had to place them somewhere in order to have it. And the characters didn't just sit still. I'll put it that way. They didn't just sit still.
Right.
And overall, actually, I feel like that this movie pulled from some other movies, of course, that I won't mention, but it pulled from previous movies, even minor characters that you never thought you may have seen, you would actually see again. I'm talking about even the most minor actually being important in this film. So if you're an avid watcher of like the MCU, like you're somebody who maybe that's all you watched or you paid attention, you're going to get rewarded for that even in this movie. And that's one thing I have to appreciate about what Marvel does actually. With a lot of the movies, especially with this one. Now, in terms of like, I know we're talking about in terms of like the love interest, MJ in this case. I think that they handled that for the most part pretty well. I think it was interesting, as far as how they tried to draw them together, and they even kind of had I don't know, I guess you would say like a new character sort of play as a rival of sorts to compete.
Ooh. I didn't like that though. I thought that was stupid.
Really?
That was stupid.
But to me, it made it interesting because I don't really, if I'm recalling, maybe my knowledge from some of the previous Spider-Man movies is off, but I really feel like there was really never that competition,
No, and here's, dude, but okay, see, because I'm not trying to talk.
It's hard, man. It's like we're in a corner.
Okay,
right
so here's the thing about that. So yes, they do introduce like that like romantic rival for Peter. 2 things about that though. Okay, so number one, I appreciate that it's not the traditional formulaic love triangle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the interest, MJ's interest in that other character it's not the same. You see, for a love triangle to work, there has to be equal, if not greater, interest for each for each participating member, right?
Right.
Usually, like the two guys that are fighting for the same girl, they are just as interested in that girl, right? But
Yeah.
she is also just as interested in the both of them. That's what creates the triangle, right?
Yes.
That didn't happen, though. That didn't happen. So, on the one hand, I'm like, okay, I'm glad we didn't do, traditional love triangle
Change it
BS.
up.
But on the other hand, I'm like, but if that's the case, then why the hell is the dude even in the movie in the first place?
That is
But I think it's sort of to buy into maybe his insecurities a little bit if you think about it,
But it's contrived insecurity. It's not authentic insecurity.
Yeah. I don't know. I just look at all these castings because, like, one thing about the MCU, it's created more theories. It's created the just the big rub where everybody has to theorize about everything and every character within the MCU. Oh, they cast this guy. His name is such and such. I bet he's gonna be so and so's son, or whoop de whoop whoop whoop. So I don't know. I just look at it that way. I didn't really see a problem with the guy. I thought he was just another one of those characters that, I mean, it's kind of like he's how can I say this? An implication, so to speak, because he's a byproduct of something that happened in the past. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about.
With the what did they call it? The blip.
The blip.
Actually, I have something to say about that. And of course, I'm not going to go too deep with it, but I kind of felt like the blip, or I guess you say whatever happened at the end of Endgame, right? Things to me seem a little bit too put together.
Yes.
For how I'm like, and that's one thing I couldn't really completely get over when I'm watching the film, where I'm like, I felt like it should have been a little bit more chaotic.
Now hang on. I have a question. Because we get the explanation about the blip at the beginning of the film, right? Which, for the record, the dude that was doing the show, the brother that was doing the show with Betty, that dude was was hilarious when they were talking about it. That kid was, dude, he was too good, bro. So how exactly was this supposed to work? So first and foremost, is Midtown High a 4-year school or is it a 6-year school?
I take it that it's a 4 years.
I thought it was 4 years.
Because they talk about the character of Brad and how he was 5 years ago versus how he is now. And I'm like, they talk about Brad as if they knew him. I'm like, but you wouldn't have known him unless he was at Midtown High at the same time, which is why I'm like, okay, if it's a 6-year school, 7th to 12th grade, then that would make more sense because Brad might have been a 7th grader.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
And then he's now like a junior or a senior.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, like that, because you have those time periods like when you're in school, and like for a middle school, for example, and you're like a certain level up, like certain grade up compared to someone who knows.
It's like a K-12.
So I guess that they probably were in middle school when Brad was in middle school and they just saw him walking around, and now they're like, oh, now this guy's he's beefed up and he's become this, this handsome guy, or
become a Chad.
Yeah.
I thought that was
Chad.
I actually thought when they did that, it was going to be something that they were going to just do and then or mention and then just drop it, like he was just like a random character when they mentioned it in the beginning. And then I felt like he
kept coming back.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's like it's certain things about this that I've seen complaints on, and I've had similar complaints about it. But at the end of the day, these are high school students, and they're gonna handle things a lot differently than grown-ups. You know what I'm saying? Especially the way they handled the big snap or the blip.
Okay, here's my question about that though, because this is what I didn't understand. So how exactly was the blip supposed to work in terms of the students? Because remember the thing with Flash on the plane?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how old is Flash? Was he actually blipped?
That's what confused me.
He looks older than the rest of them.
That's the thing. Most of these guys are old.
So my thing is what, like, did they hold the students back? Because anybody who wasn't blipped should be out of school.
Yeah, I think that the main core guy, the core cast from Spider-Man: Homecoming, they're pretty much, they're saying that they've been blipped.
That's too
So all of them were blipped.
Yeah, I think the African kid, which was in the first one, I didn't see him in this one, so I guess that he got blipped too because I was looking for him. I didn't see him though.
Yeah, because I had questions about that. I'm like, wait a minute. I know they didn't hold the kids back.
And there's another character too who's a pivotal character in the Spider-Verse who becomes you ever heard of the Spider-Man character or Spider-Woman character named Silk?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's this Asian chick who was, like doing like pop quizzes with the other students to get them ready for that big thing that they had to do over in Washington. Mm-hmm. She wasn't there either, so I would assume that she was one of those people that survived the blip.
Okay, so because that's the thing about that. Like, and granted, I think this was actually really smart. They downsized the child cast in this movie because really the only kids we really deal with in this movie is Peter, MJ, Ned, Betty, Brad, Flash. That's it. That's the only characters Brad is a new addition, right? But the other five, they're the only ones from Homecoming that are in this one. Because notice they don't even talk about Liz in this one. They don't even mention Liz.
Mm-mm.
That is true.
And none of the other kids.
But she moved away though. I think about it.
But even still, though, like you telling me Liz wasn't friends with Flash?
Well, that's true. That's true. I mean,
you see what I'm saying? And they don't even bring her up. So, like, I think, okay, if you look at it from that perspective, it makes a lot more sense because that would mean like, okay, no, we're only dealing with these five because, well, number one, because they're the main characters, but also these were the five that were blipped. So, like, all them other characters, we might as well just say that they moved on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah.
That's an easy way to write out characters. Easy.
Well, it makes the most sense because like I said, at the end of Endgame, the fact that Ned was still there when Peter returned to the school, I'm like, wait, what?
He got lucky. His boy waiting on him.
I was like, what? But the way they explained it, like, because remember when they showed the footage about what had happened when the snap happened? It's like, yeah, a lot of kids disappeared. So, but Irvin, did you have any other thoughts on the story and the writing before I jump in?
All I'm gonna say is that although I enjoyed this movie, right, and I'm trying to make sure I don't say anything too off the wall. So I guess I'll mention something with Homecoming. I felt like I'm not sure if I'm as big of a fan as everyone else is of this, like, I'm just gonna say techie Spider-Man. And one like techie is like, I kind of like the Spider-Man who feels like he's got to use his own resources from home rather than, okay, I have all these gadgets I can use now. And I feel like even though I understand obviously the reason for that in the MCU, I would have liked to have seen him use a little bit more of his head in terms of like his surroundings, like we've seen some of the other Spider-Men use in some of the other films in terms of in his action. I liked, I mean, don't get me wrong, the action was great. The CGI was amazing. It was well done. Choreography, spot on. Especially there was one particular scene towards the end that I think you guys probably know what I'm talking about. Where I thought that the the choreography was really well done. And then
was that was that what I'm calling the scarecrow sequence in the climax?
The scarecrow sequence. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Because that was the first thing it reminded me of was which one? Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, Arkham Asylum. I was gonna say the same thing. I was like, damn. I was like,
what was the one where was it Arkham Asylum where that made you think that you had died and that the game had ended, but you had to keep playing through the you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
In one of the Arkham games, like you get shot or whatever, and you think that it's the end of the game, it's the end screen, but you actually are still playing through what prior to that point in the game was considered the end screen.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, dude, you're still playing. And correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't that part of the Scarecrow sequence?
Yeah. That it was, because like I think it starts off where you look at your like a dead body or something, and you open the body bag, and it's like the parents of Bruce Wayne, like it's Thomas and Martha, and they get up or whatever. It's kind of like that. I think that's what you're talking about.
Oh, well, they had a little similar moment to that, especially where
Yeah, and I'm not a big advocate of this, but I'm really like considering just watching this movie in 3D.
Oh yeah.
Oh, this movie would be one to see in 3D.
You're right. Yes.
Now
I could. Yes. I can make a strong argument for seeing it in 3D. Yeah.
I see why it's been promoted so much for 3D now. I'll say that much.
Just so I can pass the torch to you, Larry, I just want to say, in terms of Spider-Man rankings, in terms of films, a lot of people put Spider-Man 2 as their top one. I actually put Spider-Man 1 as my top. Maybe, it's nostalgic bias. I don't know. But I just really enjoy that film. So I wouldn't put this as high as Spider-Man 1 for me, but I would probably say that this might be number 3, I would say, in the lineup. And then
that's what I said.
Yeah.
Number 3 behind the first two. Live action.
Yeah.
Live action. Because I would probably put Into the Spideyverse in the top 3. Maybe. I don't know. But I ain't going. No, that's another. Y'all gonna have to wait for that review. It should. I'll probably knock that out later this weekend as well. But anywho, so yeah, in terms of the story, in terms of the writing, like I said, compared to Homecoming, right? Number 1 is a lot more tight knit, which I really dug. Because if you really think about, and this is a cool thing, because I'm pretty sure, like y'all noticed the shift, right? Like the film that was advertised is only the first half of this movie.
Right.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So the fact that like with the whole second half is when we got like the what's really going on sort of deal, like I really dug that because it kept me engaged. And it helped with the pacing too, because we didn't really drag anything out. Not necessarily, because Random Black Gamer, me and you were talking about this before the live stream, where we were talking about like the big exposition scene ran kind of long, but that's the only scene that really runs a little too long. Everything else, like the pacing is on point for this. As I mentioned earlier, the comedy is way better. Way better than Homecoming. The jokes actually hit. I mean, dude, you want to talk about gags running too long? Dude, even the one with Nick Fury, with the interruptions, dude, like, dude, when they did that kind of stuff in Homecoming, I was like, okay, this is just obnoxious. But Sam Jackson acting out that scene, dude, the line he said, if another person knock on that door, we gonna be attending another funeral, dude. I was crying, laughing,
they
bro.
Kept doing that too.
Dude, I was crying, laughing. But yeah, dude, like that hit, dude. And me and you talked about this too, man. The adding JB Smoove to this film, I was like, dude, the second I saw JB, I'm like, all right, I'm in for a laugh fest. Let me get ready, because JB Smoove, dude, is probably one of the most underrated comedians in Hollywood right now.
Yeah,
that dude is freaking hilarious. Almost every gag he had was hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Ned, I thought Ned was a lot funnier in this one too.
Oh yeah, they play back to some of the comic book things with him and another character too, because those characters were a thing in the comics. So it was a good little nod for comic book fans out there. And another thing I like about this movie, I think Irving mentioned it, is how Marvel Studios dumps over a toy chest of ideas and just uses everything that they've had in the past.
Oh, they wasted nothing.
Nothing at all. Like they were just throwing stuff at you left and right, man. I really thought that was brilliant. And it just shows how, they try their best to ground this Spider-Man in the MCU the best way they can, so that was off the chain. That was awesome.
I thought they did a good job with that though. Because here's the thing, and this is another comment I'll make about the story and the writing, especially when we get to the villain and then the villain plot and the motive and stuff like that. They called back to so much stuff And because Random Black Gamer, me and you were talking about this before the live stream, where I was like, you know, that's kind of been one of the highlights of Marvel Comics itself, where writers, when they would come on to books, and two examples of the most famous ones who did this were Brian Michael Bendis and Frank Miller. When they did their work at Marvel, they would go back to these really obscure things. And I'm talking about specifically like actually, both those writers with their Daredevil runs, because they both did this with Daredevil. But then Bendis did this with some of his Avengers work. They would go back to these like really obscure like issues previously, you know, published in Marvel, stuff that most people like the only people who remembered that stuff were like the diehard collectors, right? But they would make whole story arcs out of like either concepts or characters who were like really small in these previous issues, and they would make them like the main villain for that issue or something like that. This movie did the exact same thing. It went back to stuff that most of us forgot. Right?
Yeah.
Especially that Civil War callback. Dude, knowing what we know about the villain of this movie going in, I would have never thought that that's what they would have called back to.
Yeah,
like, you know, snap, we showed did
because that's
set a precedent for that.
Yeah, that Civil War moment, that was already used as sort of like a MacGuffin or something that would, you know, reoccur in Civil War later.
That's right. Yes.
Thought that they were going to bring that back at some point, but I mean, I had no idea we were going to bring it back with what in the way that they did. You know.
You know what? I keep wanting to call you Esper just for shorthand.
Esper, RPG, or whatever.
But no, Esper, no, not. You know what? You bring up a good thing. The reason why I didn't consider that from Civil War is, like you said, that was used to foreshadow the climax of Civil War. So I would have never thought we would have seen that again.
Exactly. And the way it's done, like I say, the toy chest of ideas just keeps on rolling. They got a big toy chest to play with, man. And I really enjoy it. I know a lot of people, you know, have their issues with like certain interpretations of these characters because they want them to be more like the comic books. But I think the comic books get a pass because they have different Earths, and people don't take into consideration that this is a different Earth.
Dude, hold up, real talk though, real quick, minor spoiler. When Mysterio dropped the 616, I was like, oh shit.
And hey, you know what? Like when he dropped where his universe was from, you know where his universe is from? Which Spider-Man that is?
I've heard of. When is that?
That's Spider-Man UK.
Okay. All right.
And they just so happened to be in the UK at the time.
See, okay. Oh, okay, wait. Real quick. I do want to address this real quick. Another very minor spoiler. I think most people might know this. He gets a new costume at the end, right? Yeah. And it's not the black one. Like it's the updated Spider-Man costume, right?
Right.
Is that Superior Spider-Man?
It's kind of like a mesh of Superior, Miles Morales, and the classic Steve Ditko suit.
Okay, is that dark blue or is that black?
That's black. And what it is, it's supposed to be like, you know, like back in the early days, like when Ditko and Stanley were first starting, Spider-Man's costume was for the most part just red and black. You know, they didn't start doing it, like making it blue until like later on, because, you know, most of the times, like,
something. You're right. From the, what is it? What is it? Amazing
Fantasy.
Amazing, yeah, you're right. Yeah, the first one is red and black.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to bring this up, like, because I know it's like a parody of superheroes. You remember the Tick? Like, he had, like, the creator said the only reason why he made the Tick blue because that's like either that's going to be used for a primary color or that's going to be used for something that shadows, like, makes like a shading for black to the company black. You know, you always want to put like blue on the emphasis or the muscle.
Oh, dude, you know what, bruh? Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's why they did it, because they kept using like blue to emphasize the muscles on the black parts of Spider-Man's suit till they said, screw it, we'll just make that part blue and make that, you know, the secondary color.
That's interesting.
Real quick, that is the suit at the end because we got the webbing under the arms,
right?
Where he's gliding off of that.
Yep.
Oh
And
yeah,
That is the suit. Yeah, and that's because notice, dude, like it looks like they just used the blue as the highlight color.
yeah, it just adds the emphasis to show you the muscle structure.
I didn't
Yeah,
know that. I never really paid attention to it in that
So
way.
like that's been a long time comic book trope. You see it with Batman, either they choose black or blue, or they'll use gray for the secondary color.
yeah. But okay, so yeah, that is the original suit that they went with. Okay, because I was like, dude, is that the? Because it looks black. I'm like, is that a superior suit?
Right. It's the way they play with stuff, man. Like it makes you, it gives back so many references. You know, like I was thinking Miles Morales because of how the fingers are red and like the most of the.
Oh yeah, in the glove, yeah.
Yeah, you know, some might say that because you know they have those Miles Morales elements like Ned, you know, which is supposed to be a different character.
I mean, the back of the suit is a little bit different, I think, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I'm looking at it right now.
Real quick, I'm gonna let you guys finish up the story discussion. I'm gonna go grab something. I'll be right back.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot to say about this film, you know, like as far as yeah, I didn't realize until you said that was even a callback. I'm looking through it right now.
Oh yeah, they added some more little details to it that we haven't seen. I don't think we've seen in any other Spider-Man comic book. Like I don't want to spoil what it is. I feel like that'll be too much of a spoiler. But
oh yeah, trust me, I'm trying to avoid them so much right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of good instances. I'm just wondering what else they could add to that suit though, and it's almost like kind of making me wonder because, like I say, I'm like you. I don't like that he's so like Tony Starkerized.
Oh yeah, you know what I mean? Because it's like almost like you can't even separate his identity.
Yeah,
and I don't think.
Go ahead.
I wanted the movie to do, you know, try to separate that a little bit more in this one. And I don't think it really did a good job with that. You know, I feel like he's still kind of tied with Tony Stark, you know, in some way. I think that I don't know if maybe the next one they'll do that, but I'm like, okay, Spider-Man is his own character. And in the comics, I mean, until much later, it wasn't like the characters really had any sort of history.
Right.
You know?
Like, if anything, if he's going to utilize Tony Stark's technology, I would want him to add something to it. Like, what can you do to improve upon Tony Stark's technology? Show your scientific muscles and flex them a little bit, because I think that's the only thing that's been lacking with this interpretation of Peter. He's not that much of a scientist compared to these other iterations that we've seen, and he's not that hands-on like I want him to be.
Oh, they only showed it off in that one scene with Mysterio when they were talking about, you know, and I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, oh, don't apologize, you know, for
being smart
person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was the only time, but I felt like if you look at, like, how would I say, like the kind of message that you get in Homecoming and then some of what they go in this, it's like you have, like in Homecoming, you have an antagonist, right? Mm-hmm. That is supposed to represent like the poor man basically making a come up kind of thing, right? You know? And Peter Parker is supposed to be that everyman kind of guy, or everyday kind of guy, right?
Yeah, you're supposed to be able to relate to him.
But I feel like you're giving him access to stuff that the everyday guy kind of guy wouldn't necessarily have. And I'm not talking about his powers. I'm talking about literally like, I mean, you might as well say he has access to all the things that Tony Stark had access to, all the money, you know, in a sense, you know, and it's like you're giving him access to all of that. And then, you know, you're expecting for me to relate to him as much as you did some of the other iterations of Spider-Man in terms of the films. And that's my only issue with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, actually. Like, I like it. Like, if I were to rank them, and maybe this is like kind of a different discussion to rank the different, I like him a little bit more in this one than I did in Homecoming, but I still feel as though, like, I don't know. Do you think he developed all that much more from this movie from versus Homecoming, aside from?
Well, there's two different kind of paradigm shifts you have with Homecoming and Far From Home. You have the Peter Parker who wants to be Iron Man, who wants to be that guy that's gonna like fulfill those, you know.
Okay, I'm back.
You know, like live up to Iron Man's expectations and do that stuff. And then you have the guy who just wants to be a teenager, who kind of wants to like put superheroism on the back burner because he's kind of like just burnt out from all these other like big escapades that he's been going on, you know, like with Infinity War, and then he's coming back from a snap that only took like 5 seconds in his life, but realized that it was 5 years in the actual, world. So you can kind of see that shift where these are 2 different Peter Parkers that are, slowly but surely being fleshed out better.
Now, what I just to, I guess, catch you up to speed, Larry. Basically, what I just kind of brought up is, I feel like with the technology or the access that we've had, like you see that Peter Parker has in Homecoming and even in this movie, it makes him somewhat unrelatable, and his almost like his villains, or like villain, like in like, for example, in Homecoming, a lot more relatable. If you think about it, because
which you're saying the villain is relatable or unrelatable?
Like more relatable in some ways than him, in my opinion. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because that they had, like for example, in Vulture had to make his own come up. If you look back at Homecoming, right? But you think about in both movies, both Homecoming and Far From Home, you think about the fact that all the other Spider-Men, they didn't have access to all this type of technology.
But notice, hang on a second though. I do want to comment on that. Because what I loved about this one versus Homecoming, with all that technology, how much of it does Peter actually use in this movie? Not much. The only real technology he uses in this movie is to make the final suit. The stealth suit was given to him, right? And he didn't have any of that. What was it called from Homecoming?
He didn't have the built-in AI. He didn't have
he didn't have the built-in AI. Oh, and then the AI because we do have that moment in this movie, just like in Homecoming, where he has like the Stark AI. Yeah. And funny enough that it's a female, voice AI, whatever. Like we have that moment where he's like, "Oh shit, I didn't know you could do that." But he doesn't actually use it.
Right.
He doesn't know how to use it, really.
Well, but remember how much stuff he did in Homecoming based strictly off the suit versus because he doesn't use anything that his regular dude. He doesn't even use his suit in this movie. Remember, I can't let people know that Spider-Man is in Europe. He doesn't even use his suit, and with the stealth suit, the only thing he uses from there is web shooters.
Pretty much.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
That stealth suit, huge reference to Noir Spider-Man.
Dude, he doesn't use nearly as much technology in this movie that he did in Homecoming.
I'll say he used a few things from Homecoming, but that's later at the end of the movie where he has to use it. Like he needs to utilize it. And the way he does, he's not reckless with it. Like I said, he's more seasoned in this film. It just shows you that he's progressed in terms of what he can and can't do.
Well, and also what he wants to do, and what he doesn't want to do. Because this movie, a lot like Spider-Man 2.
He's tired of the
it did the whole Spider-Man no more, right?
Right.
Because we're gonna do we head in that direction because they just can't leave that story alone. But no, this film focused a lot on what Peter Parker wants. It really dove into that topic. Because that's at the crux. That's the crux of Spider-Man 2, of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man 2 film. And it was reflected in, him losing his powers. That's what it was about. This one, though, what's funny about this? If you think about parallel character arcs, where Peter is in this movie is where Tony was in Age of Ultron. Right. I'm trying to I don't want to keep doing this. I'm trying to hand it over to the next man. But with Tony, it was a whole thing of no, it's preservation of the future, right? With Peter, it's more of I'm not worthy to pick up this mantle. So let me find someone who's better suited for it.
Oh yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. Like definitely, like I say, like this Peter is like totally different from the Peter that was in Homecoming, where he just wanted to prove himself and be that next Iron Man. You know what I'm saying? Like he just
He
has,
was looking for that Avengers movie, got a taste of it, and then
and it just shows that's a testament to being like a teenager and growing up. You know, you have interests and they're somewhat linear at first, but they start to expand and you get interested in different things. So I like to look at it that way.
So real quick, since we're talking about Peter, let's dive some more into some of the other characters.
Okay, which one we going for?
Well, y'all can finish roasting Peter first.
Well, no, I wasn't trying to roast him completely. I was just thinking that's just something that's always bothered me a little bit with the whole tech thing. I mean, I'm not saying that I mind, Spider-Man and obviously having access to some level of it, right?
Yeah.
But it's just like, I don't know. To me, it's I don't know. It's just a bit strange to me, I guess is all. The fact that, okay, you have access to that and it's like now you're in a sense kind of giving the character permanent access to that, even based on how it ends. I'm like, he still has access to that,
Does he though? Yeah, I'm gonna save that one for the future of the MC. Does he though? I don't know about that, bro.
I don't know. To me, it seemed like it, but yeah. So I mean, I don't know. That's my only like major issue as far as with him is concerned, And then I mean, he's like, I know we talked about this, me and Random Black Gamer, while you were gone a little bit. How the only time you really get a chance to see him show off that Brainiac side,
like, is at the end.
Well, no, I'm not even going to say at the end. I'm like, this is actually, I think they played this in the trailer when you have him talking with Mysterio when they're sitting there talking.
Oh, when they first meet?
Yeah, and they even said, what did where he's like, don't apologize for being the smartest person in the room. Or, I was like, that's the only time I feel like you've really had him show that off a little bit. But I mean, other than that, when can you really think of a major time where he's done that?
Well, like I said, at the end.
Yeah.
On the plane scene. Dude. Okay, and here's another thing I like about this movie too. So you remember how in Homecoming, his big because the big thing in Homecoming, like the big message of that is if you're nothing without the suit, you don't deserve to have it, right? So we have that whole he has to be, it's him that's important and it's trusting in his abilities and things like that, right? Mm-hmm. That was kind of like the big lesson of Homecoming. But in this movie, even with that whole technology thing, he was operating the message I got from it was this notion that, there's no way I can match up to him because his technology is just too grand. He's too many steps ahead of me, this, that, and the other. And then when we get the scene with the plane, and then of course the music cue, right? That music drop. It's like, dude, because you notice.
I got chills from that.
It's like, hey,
another minor spoiler, but you notice because the look on Happy's face when Peter starts using the computer, it's like, no, this motherfucker knows what he's doing.
Right.
You can't live up to Stark. Because what did it say in the film? Tony couldn't even live up to Tony, right? Mm-hmm. But that didn't stop him from putting that suit on and doing what he had to do. And Happy asked him, "Is like, what are you gonna do about it?" He's like, the chips are down, your back's against the wall, your tech's gone, and your friends are in trouble. What you gonna do about it? And Peter jumped into it. He was like, "Man, he just started doing his thing." I like on Homecoming with the lifting of the load thing. I'm like, okay, I'm just kind of over this shit. But in this movie, when he starts at that computer doing his thing, and I'm like, yep, Tony 2.0. Yep.
Yeah. See, my whole thing is like I'm just like, okay, Tony Stark was smart, but let's see how you can add to that and maybe improve upon things that Tony couldn't see, because like that's one thing about all these scientists, they don't really specialize in other areas of science. Like Shuri, you see what she can do with certain things and how she was almost close to removing the soul gem out of Well, was it the soul gem or was it the mind gem?
The mind gem.
Yeah, removing the mind gem. You see what she can do. So I'm ready for Peter just to flex those science muscles a little more and actually maybe surpass Tony Stark in that area if he's going to be the next face of the MCU and the next Tony Stark. So I really don't have a problem with it. Maybe they can add that to his character development and do something with it.
Here's a good question for you guys. What do you feel was the strongest act of the film?
Strongest act?
You mean like first, second, and third act, or you mean actor?
No, like first, second, and third act.
I'll have to say it
got to be the third. Oh man, hold up.
It's like I want to say the second, because it was something about Jake Gyllenhaal's performance that was kind of like irking the shit out of me. I was like, dude, you can do better than this. Like you are as dry as a cucumber out on a hot sunny day right now. But once you see what happens with that character and stuff, and you start seeing Jake Gyllenhaal that like the character, the guy that like shine through, that's when it's like, oh, okay. So I would have to say that middle part, pertaining to him.
I don't know.
I'm thinking
that one's hard. That one's hard because the third act is really good.
Yeah. That third, it just gets going and it doesn't stop.
The third act is really, really good.
I'm gonna have to agree with you on the third act.
I'm gonna go with the third act. Third act is good. Third, I will say this though, and this is another comment. Is a comment on the story more so than character itself. One letdown I will say the film did was what we did with Peter's character set. I'm sorry, his power set.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
That and like I said, I'm not going to go into too much. Most people can probably figure out what I'm hinting at, because it's the major Spider-Man ability that has yet to be, that we have yet to get into, right? But we didn't build that up the way I thought we should have.
What? I don't know. If it's what I think you're talking about, I actually thought I thought that they did that pretty well, because I was wondering in Homecoming where it was at.
I feel like that thing. If you just look at the story in its entirety from Spider-Man's introduction, I can say that okay, they did a good job expanding upon that and making it more of a part of his growth as the Spider-Man we know and love. But in terms of this movie, I feel like they could have harped on it a little more, because I'm like, it's like you mentioned it so briefly, and then for it to be like come back, as a foreshadowing thing, like where oh yeah, he has this now, he's ready. I felt like that, like really,
Dude, I'll give you a good example of what I'm talking about. I'm gonna give you a good example of what I'm talking about. Y'all remember Into the Spideyverse, right?
Yeah.
He can turn invisible. Can't do it on command. He can't do it on command. He has a Venom touch. Can't do it on command. He can't do it on command.
Right.
Like in that movie, Miles had to actually work at his abilities for them to manifest themselves. In this film, Peter, especially that ability, we should have spent more time. Like, dude, he never works on it.
But I guess
it's mentioned at the beginning, and then they bring it back at the end.
Yeah,
but that's about it.
But think about it though, he always has it. I guess you could almost say it's like something you do, but you may not necessarily pay attention.
Yeah, maybe he hasn't used it at the level that he needed to use it at, because he could already dodge bullets pretty easily, like his aunt said. He's like, you dodge bullets easy, but you can't do this.
The fucking banana. Oh my God, dude. Fucking banana. Dude, that shit had me crying, dude. The fucking banana.
Right.
Oh my God, dude. I'm like, what the fuck?
I ain't gonna lie. Can we just harp on how they kept, making like Marisa Tomei look even more sexy than she already is, like at certain angles and stuff? Because I feel like they did that a lot more in this one than they did in Homecoming.
Yeah.
And I was like, I ain't gonna lie. I was looking, sound like, damn, she got her like that in them jeans. Okay, got that cape.
Hey man, that's Peter's aunt, bro.
Right.
Nigga said we gonna have a serious talk about you seeing my eye.
Oh man.
But dude, all right, so okay, so I think have we been at this about an hour?
Yeah,
I think
we're supposed to do 30 minutes, but
I know, right? Hammering it up. But okay, so real quick, we're gonna do some housekeeping real quick since we're about at the top of the hour. We got 20 people watching right now. Appreciate that. But we only got 9 likes. Let's get them likes up. Gotta get them likes up. Help a brother out. We gotta get them likes up. The more likes, even if it's 20 likes, the more likes, that helps that good old YouTube algorithm get this video to everybody else on YouTube. So let's try to spread the word. Let's go ahead. Let's get them likes up, fam. Appreciate that. We got 3 already. Look, see, they on it. Oh, 4 already. Come see, that's why, dude. That's why I mess with the faithful, dog. They know. They know. You ain't got to explain nothing, man.
Ooh, yeah,
they on it. They on it, bro. The faithful, they on it, bro.
And if you guys want to submit some questions, like go ahead and throw a super chat our way.
Yep. Yeah. So we're at the end of this review. We're gonna do a quick, questions, and of course, super chat top priority. Also, if you want to support the channel, contribute to OAW on PayPal. That link is in the description box. I don't talk about the PayPal enough. It's always in the description box, but I need to get better at like letting people know that it's actually there, right? So PayPal, that link is in the description. And then also, if you have not done so, check out the OAW Patreon page. That link is in the description as well. Check out the tiers. Currently, I am now, so all the requests for July, those have already been locked. Right now, I'm accepting the request for August. So if you have a film, a comic, a discussion of the week topic, if you want to book a session for Advice Corner, anything like that, now accepting requests for August. The deadline is the end of the month. And all those requests, those get locked in and added to the queue on August 1st. So if you want to get your request in time for August, please feel free to do so now. There is only 1 spot left for the film, TV show, or anime request for the blockbuster tier. There's only 1 spot left. 1 spot, and that's the $30 tier. Only 1 left. Once that's full, it's full. If you want to get in, y'all gonna have to shoot me an email or something. I don't know, but there's only 1 spot left. So get it in while you can. Get it in while you can. All right, so let's talk about some other characters real quick. Now, Esper, you talked about Jake Gyllenhaal's performance. Dude, I thought he was the breakthrough performance of the film.
I'm not saying that he wasn't like I say, like at the beginning, I was like, he's coming off a little dry, but later on in the film, you kind of understand why. And that's one of those things, like I say, that some people aren't going to notice, and they'll probably have to go back upon like seeing it for the second time, that they're going to notice like, okay, I can kind of see where you're coming from, or, oh yeah, he does kind of come off a little dry, but that plays into the whole plot. I think that was a deliberate thing that was done, because you understand his motives later on, like Mysterio. So yeah, I mean, as far as like his overall performance goes, oh my God, I felt like I was watching Nightcrawler except with CG and other stuff. It's like, oh, okay, I got you. Okay, I see what you're doing. I see what you're going for. Yeah, so I enjoyed it, and you can tell that he was having a good time playing Quentin Beck too. Like especially that scene that I said I had like a little complaint about. I was like, you were enjoying this too much.
Oh yeah, he was. He was feeling himself. You could tell he was totally feeling himself. But that is Mysterio, though.
Yeah, that's him.
That's Mysterio, bro, dude. Like Jake Gyllenhaal. I thought he was the best performance in the film. I really did. He was great. And that's not to knock anybody else's performance, but here's the thing with the returning characters. We know Peter, we know Happy, we know Nick Fury.
Right.
We already know them cats, but no, like his I thought was a really good performance. Let me ask y'all this: what did y'all think about Zendaya in this one?
I enjoyed her in this one.
I guess they made her a lot less weird. I mean, they still kept that a little bit, but
Yeah, it's like I can understand. I hate, like I say, I hate those fickle women. Like I can't stand them with a passion. Ooh, I can't stand them. But you can understand why she's the way she is, and you've seen high school students like that before, like the loner type who sits at the end of the table by themselves. When you
I used
try
to
to
date
approach,
one of those, dude.
oh, so you really know how it is. You know, the only thing I'm concerned about is like, damn, like Peter, he really got a thing for the sisters. You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask y'all this question though.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that's why I love some caramel.
Peter got jungle fever. Peter
Right.
got jungle fever. But but real quick, let me ask y'all this. Was it me or did the whole MJ romance thing just kind of come out of nowhere?
It does. It does. Like I say, there are so many good things going on that
Time
sometimes
passed, didn't it? I mean, I'm not talking about the blip, but like, didn't time pass in between movies where, you know, I mean, that's at least what is implied to me.
But like at the start of this movie, Peter's like, I got a plan, and like I really like MJ, and I want to get at it. I'm like, dude, really?
So
talking
Like,
like
where did that come from?
you are so obsessed with Liz Allen's skirt and all the other stuff that she was doing, and all of a sudden you want to fantasize over this chick who you barely even recognize.
Yeah, like they didn't build it up. They didn't. I was just like, what, dude? It was like Ned and Betty. Like, oh, we're dating.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I feel like they didn't really harp on, like the aftermath of Aunt May finding out about Peter's identity. You want to get more foreground on that, and some other things too. But yeah, those are really some things that I wish they would have actually expanded upon instead of just jumping into it and just going. You know.
Yeah, it's like it almost felt as if there was a movie in between this one and Homecoming we didn't see.
Right, and shout out to Sony too, because they usually screw this stuff up, but the way they advertised this movie was, oh my god, they played me, because you know they didn't have that scene when he was in like the big restaurant in one of the cops like, are you gonna be the next Iron Man now? It's like,
Oh
no,
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it wasn't even in the movie.
yeah. That whole it wasn't.
There's
Yeah,
a lot
you're
of
right,
CG swapping going on in this movie too.
dude. That Nick Fury scene I thought was good. The BS scene.
Yeah.
I thought that was just for the fucking commercials.
Oh man.
And that made it into the movie. I was like, oh snap.
Yeah, somebody in Marvel's marketing must have been slapping Sony's hand every time they wanted to click on the mouse and do something like, nope, stop. No, don't you do it. Because the marketing was a lot tighter than Homecoming. Because I felt like I knew the entire plot in Homecoming, with the exception of a few twists.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they kept it pretty tight knitted with the beginning part, obviously.
Yeah, and like the same issue I had with Jake Gyllenhaal, I kind of had with Nick Fury too, because you're like, no, Nick, this is not like you. This is something that you would do, but you understand like certain situations play out, and you understand why. You know, I'm not going to give it away, but you understand why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
yeah, that made a lot more sense too.
Yeah, everything was pretty much done deliberately for a reason. You know, just so they can swerve you later on. I gotta ask y'all this though. There's one major issue I've been having with some of these movies, and it's the score. I feel like the scores aren't as powerful as they need to be in certain characters like Mysterio. Like their scores don't stand out, and you hardly remember them. Like they become an afterthought. And I feel like
that.
Huh?
I've never considered that, you know, thinking about like how some of the scores aren't really memorable, because I'm actually think about it now. Like
talk crap about the X-Men Marvel films all you want. Like certain characters when they come on the screen, like villain, like major players, their scores hit and they're very memorable. Like when Michael Fassbender's Magneto hit the screen for the first time, and that score it's become embedded in that entire continuity. And I'm waiting to actually, you know, hear a villain who has a memorable score within these MCU films like Spider-Man.
I'm gonna have to go back and look at that, because I know Mysterio has a score because the music changes, right. which you know. What's funny is I didn't really pay too much attention to the score until that freaking plane scene. Because when we get that plane scene, I'm like, wait a minute, are they playing the Avengers score?
Right. That's what it sounds like. It's like they're using some other scores from other films.
Yeah.
I can only recognize Spider-Man's theme because I've heard it multiple times in Homecoming. Doom, 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 doom. like I can recognize that one, but some of the other ones were just so drowned out of my mind, and I wish they would work on that more.
Yeah. All right, let me see. Any other characters we want to mention?
I'm thinking like who can we actually mention that? I think about it like because we talked about MJ. We talked about Ned wasn't. I mean, he was there in the film, but I feel like they kind of kept him. I mean, sort of. He was actually a little bit more out of the film than he was in like Homecoming. Like they kind of. I mean, yeah, they had him there with the whole relationship thing, but he wasn't really his main help, if that makes any sense. Like how he's always helped him.
Yeah. I can just say that all these, like the supporting cast has grown on me.
He was a lot more. You know what? That's one thing I will say about, and even though this is kind of going back to Peter again, I feel like he was a lot more independent in this movie.
Yeah, well, because Ned went and found him a woman, so he didn't need
Peter
Peter no more.
From that, like I feel like his character was forced to be independent in this movie. He didn't have really, he didn't have anybody to really count on like that, and people were counting on him, obviously, to do what he needed to do to take up the mantle, if you will. There was that pressure. But I guess going back to the whole thing with other characters, I'm not sure. I can't think of another one other than the main ones that we've already mentioned that were
their teacher was utterly hilarious.
Oh yeah, that guy.
That dude.
Yeah, people don't even notice that he was from the Incredible Hulk too.
Was he blipped?
I don't know. Like I think he's like a running gag of like somebody who just constantly undergoes misfortunes too. Like I think that they try to use him as that. Like, oh, this guy just never catches a break. Like one of the worst teachers ever.
It's like, oh my God, Peter, you're still alive. Oh my God. Oh man. All right. So
they ever bring up Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
Man, do we even? I'm not even gonna touch that because I think at this point Tony is the Uncle Ben for this Spider-Man now.
Well, yeah, that's what they seem like they're trying to go with, but
yeah, I don't even know if there was a fucking Ben.
Which, by the way, can you hear anything in my back? Because I know that there's like fireworks going on, and we just want to make sure I'm not too loud for you.
I mean, you're not too loud. I hear something, but it's not something that's really bothering me.
Yeah, I don't think they haven't started just yet, but it's getting dark outside. That's why I was trying to hurry up and knock this one out before the fireworks started.
I do think Uncle Ben exists in this universe because, like, when they close in, like, do a close up on Peter's briefcase when he's packing up, you see, I think like a Ben, like a BJ.
Yeah, you did see that.
Yeah, so I think he still exists. They just haven't really harped on him.
I mean, that's fine. Everybody already knows the deal.
Yeah.
So I'm not expecting that. I'm like, that's not. I would never take away from that, actually.
Yeah.
But, who else?
Well, I put it okay. Because at this point, I'm thinking we can go ahead. You know what? So I want to go ahead and I want to. Usually at this point, I go ahead. I transition over to like the special effects and the music. We kind of already touched on those.
Oh yeah.
Did we talk about
unless y'all had anything else to add about it?
I was just gonna say this, like I said earlier, but just expanding upon it, like because I noticed like the running gag with Marvel is that they don't really use a lot of practical stuff as far as costumes. They kind of like do like something called a CG rotoscope, where they CGify the costume that's already there. Like they have the little reference points and stuff. And Spider-Man, I think he's gotten the worst end of that CG rotoscoping skill. Like they always do it to where his costume either looks too smooth. You know what I'm saying? Like in Homecoming, you could tell what was CG and what wasn't.
Oh, dude, you know what stood out to me, bro? When he was wearing his Infinity War suit.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
That did not look good.
Yeah,
that did not at the very beginning with the fundraiser.
A little better than it did in Infinity War.
Yeah, I was going to say it looks better in here than it did in IW and Endgame.
You
But
think so?
yeah, like I thought it looked way better. Like you could
The practical suit.
the practical suit. Which one? Like just a regular?
So you remember at the fundraiser, he's wearing the suit from Infinity War and Endgame, but it's done practically. It's not CG.
I thought that was CG.
No, it wasn't.
Oh.
It wasn't. When he was on stage and everything?
Uh-huh.
No, dude, that was practical.
Oh, I was like, damn, that's why I was saying it looks so good. I was like, why does it look so good?
I thought it looked dude, I didn't think it looked that good.
Like because I mean, I was thinking it looked a lot better myself, you know.
Because I'm talking about the one with the plates.
Yeah.
Dude, that did not look good to me.
Oh man, I love that. I was like, man, this CG.
That's how I knew it was practical, because I'm like, ooh, that does not look good in practical.
Well, what? No, wait a minute, because like I said, like when I was talking about the marketing, you remember like before the Endgame came out and they were kind of advertising Spider-Man Far From Home, and like Aunt May was on the stage and everything. They were showing Spider-Man and he was in his regular getup, like the regular Civil War suit that he got. So I thought they just did like a CG swap, and that maybe this suit all this time could have been CG. Because like even in the ending act, like during like a certain swinging scene, he's wearing the homecoming suit, but in the actual movie, it's another suit. So that's what made me think that, oh, this is CG. It's just a lot better than the other one.
So I'm wondering, actually, is the Infinity War suit, is it like obsolete now, or like old tech if you think about it?
I don't know.
I mean, he upgraded it, so yeah. I would assume so.
Got to sell those toys too, so.
Oh, yeah.
I would assume so. I'm sorry, I just got distracted.
Okay, somebody said that they like Tom Holland as Spider-Man, but overall, they're not feeling these MCU Spider-Man films.
Uh-huh.
Well, I don't know. I'm really enjoying this take on Spider-Man. Like, there are certain things that I hope they change, but I think, they're gradually improving.
I mean, this Spider-Man definitely travels a lot more. I have to say that.
Yeah, and he loves his chocolate.
I mean, this is like the way I look at it. This is the teenage Spider-Man. I think, in my opinion, Andrew Garfield had the funnier Spider-Man, and then, to me, Tobey Maguire had the nerdier Spider-Man. That's the way I kind of look at it.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. Getting off of Facebook. I'm in the middle of the damn show. All right. So I'm trying to read comments that's left on the postings for the live stream, and then I'm being inundated by a bunch of confusing stuff. Anywho, so we touched on CG, touched on effects, touched on the music. So how about this? We'll go to final thoughts, and then we'll hit up the chat for the questions. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions for us, leave them suckers now. Once again, super chats get top priority. So, Esper, what were your final overall thoughts wrapping this up?
Final thoughts. Really enjoyed this film. Despite some of the things that I have issues with, like the musical scores not being as effective as I would want them to be, especially in a Spider-Man film, you expect that. So hopefully they work on that. CG, amazing. Like I said, characters amazing. And I really think this film right here does a good job of moving the MCU in its entirety forward, because there are certain things that happen in the post-credit scenes that you're going to be like, oh, you're setting up for this? Okay.
Oh, yeah, I have questions, but we'll talk about that later.
We'll discuss that in a spoiler session. Like I said, I got a lot of stuff to discuss with you, man.
Yeah, yeah.
But overall, I give this film I want to give it an 8.9. I'm leaning on a 9.0. I'll give it an 8.9 out of 10.
Okay. All right, how about you, Irvin?
Okay, pardon me. I want to say this in advance because I know there going crazy with the fireworks right now, so pardon me for this. I'm trying to make this as quick as possible.
Bam!
So for me, overall, final thoughts. I feel like the film was probably my third favorite Spider-Man film. You know, out of all the live action ones, I felt like, in terms of the cast, this is probably one of the funnier Spider-Man films. In fact, I actually would say to me this was the funniest Spider-Man film. The other two that weren't really meant to be funny, so I feel like this one actually was pretty funny. And I also think that it did a great job with being able to make antagonists of Spider-Man that aren't necessarily his top antagonists make you actually not only care about them, well, not care about them, but make you invested in what's taking place, in the story with them. I don't know how to put it I'm trying to avoid so bad without spoiling, what goes on. But basically, I enjoyed everything that happened with the fight scenes. I enjoyed everything that happened with the CGI. I enjoyed all the character moments, and I think this is a film you should go check out. And it ends off the phase 3 to me on a great note. For a movie coming after Endgame, it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel as though it's ending on it like a somber note, and it kind of based on the post-credit teasers, it gives you like at least an idea of what you may be able to expect going into the next phase. And I think that's what it should have done, giving you at least something to give you like a little wet taste, but not to give you like a complete spoiler of like, oh, this is happening, that's happening. You know exactly what you're getting into. So that's just my thoughts. If I were to say a score, as I said in the beginning, 8.5 out of 10.
All right, yeah, and I would just follow that up. Like I said, best one since Spider-Man 2, live action. Best one since Spider-Man 2. In terms of the MCU overall, it's the best one. Well, how to put this? I might put this in the top 10 MCU. I can see it in the top 10. Yeah. It's that good. It is that good.
Over Iron Man 1?
Wait, say again?
Over Iron Man 1?
No, it's not Iron Man 1 good. but dude, Iron Man, for me, Iron Man 1 is arguably top 5. So, because I've been saying for the longest time, like top 5, that's Avengers 1, Black Panther, Iron Man 1, Winter Soldier, and Guardians 1. That's my top 5.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Infinity War is not in your top 5?
Nope.
Oh no.
Nope. Because I still think the first Avengers is the best of all the Avengers.
Yeah.
Not for me. I'm gonna be honest with you. But that's a whole nother topic. I'm not gonna.
But yeah, that's my top 5. Like Avengers 1, Iron Man 1, Black Panther, Winter Soldier, and Guardians 1.
Yeah, mine's is Winter Soldier, Guardians 1. I want to say Avengers and Black Panther.
Ooh, I'd probably say for me it's almost like a toss-up between Civil War and Infinity War. And then after that would be probably Black Panther. Maybe I would put I'd probably put Iron Man 1 next, and then maybe like Homecoming, I'd say. Or not Homecoming, I guess it would be Far From Home now that I think about it. So I guess it'd be Far From Home. So I guess it would be in my top 5 now that I think about it. Wait, hold on. How am I forgetting the Captain America movies? The other ones, other than Civil War, because Civil War doesn't feel like it. So now I'm actually going to say...
because The Winter Soldier is arguably the best of the MCU movies.
It's up there. It's like the Spider-Man 2 of the MCU, basically.
Yeah.
What if I told you, and this is going to shock you, and I'm not even saying from a writing standpoint, but I actually enjoyed the first Captain America movie a little bit more than Winter Soldier. I enjoyed Winter Soldier, don't get me wrong. And I think Winter Soldier had a lot of better points in it, but I just enjoyed the first one more, if that makes any sense. If that's okay.
There's nothing wrong. All of them are good movies. That's what I say. Like I say, out of all, like people don't really acknowledge that the Captain America movies are probably the most consistent film trilogy of superheroes and the MCU because they just
because each one is arguably better than the last one.
Right. So that's why I always hold them in the higher standards. Even like it's even better. Like Nolan trilogy doesn't even have that, you know, because Rising it wasn't, and you got Iron Man, the Avengers, you know, like even though I don't really have a problem with Ultron, but it's not really, you know, up there in terms of quality because of all the writing issues. And I just got to say this too, because I feel like people have been harassing Joss Whedon about this. You try to write and direct the fucking movie. I'm sorry about that, throwing that F-bomb. But
man, I lose monetization. I'm coming to jack your shit.
I'm sorry, man. I would donate if it does. But I'm just saying, like you guys try to write and direct the movie. Because did the Russos write their Avengers movie?
No. Well, no. Actually, it was Chris McFeely and
exactly. It was two guys that wrote and two guys that directed.
Who was it? Chris McFeely and who's the other one?
I forgot the other guy's name.
His
name, but yeah, it took 4 guys to make Infinity War and Endgame. It took 1 guy to make Avengers and Age of Ultron.
Hey, you know, I mean, that's fine and dandy, but I mean, I guess I say the Russo brothers for me, they've made the best ones.
They the twin Jesuses. I'll give them that.
Now, I wasn't as big of a fan as Endgame as I thought I would like. I mean, it was a good movie, but it wasn't like, to me, it wasn't what Infinity War was. I always call.
I still think Infinity War is better than Endgame.
I call Infinity War Thanos. Like, to me, it's like if Thanos had a movie, like that was his movie, his solo movie. You know. I mean, the story was from his perspective.
But see, so where I was going with the whole ranking thing, so like if the 5 movies I mentioned are my top 5, then 6, 7, 8, and 9, Infinity War is in there, Civil War is in there, and I would throw Homecoming in there too. I mean, not Homecoming. I'm sorry, Far From Home. I would throw Far From Home in there.
There you go.
Because I like this one. Okay, so because I like this one better than Doc Strange. I liked it better than Homecoming. Well, I've already said better than Homecoming. I need to go back. Recently, I just went back and saw some of Guardians 2 for the first time, like because I only saw Guardians 2 once.
Yeah, Guardians is one of those movies that receives more hate than it deserves. I love Guardians 2.
So like I need to go back. I remember when I saw Guardians 2, I didn't really care for it as much.
Really? Like the ending, that didn't get you? Like the final act, at least? The final act?
I mean, I'm mad they killed off Yondu. I was pissed. Yeah. I was pissed about that.
They tugged at my heartstrings with that, man. The way they did that, you know. I don't know.
But yeah, so I need to go back and watch Guardians 2 again because I was watching it the other day and I was like, damn, I don't remember that from this movie. but yeah, so like when I'm talking about like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I think Far From Home is in the top 10. I think it deserves a spot in the top 10.
Oh yeah. And one thing I noticed about all the MCU films, you know, some people have these lists that you'd be like, what? Huh? But I think that's a testament of how many things that they have that suit certain palettes of what you want in these films, you know what I'm saying, that people really enjoy. So I don't really think there's a definitive top 10 list when it comes to these movies because some of the lists that I've seen, I'm like, what? Really? But people have given good explanations of why they place these movies in the areas that they place them in. So
I still have not heard a single good reason for why people like Thor Ragnarok as much as they did. That movie was trash, in my opinion.
I thought it was
trash, but I mean, you know, like it's pretty overrated. I'd agree with you.
I thought that was the second. I think that's the second worst MCU movie.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far. No,
the first worst, and I understand a lot of people gonna call me out on this. So the first worst is Iron Man 2.
Yeah,
and the second one is Thor Ragnarok.
I think Iron Man 3 was worse than 2.
No, dude, 3 is way better than 2. 3 is way better than 2.
I am Mandarin.
3 is way better than 2.
Yeah, people just really like downvote that movie because of that Mandarin part, man. But I don't think it was as bad as they're making it out to be.
Well, even then, the extremist stuff makes up for it because I thought the way they adapted that was pretty good.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So, but anywho, all right. So let's go ahead and let's jump into the chat for some questions. All right. So I just went ahead and refreshed the chat so I know what was in here beforehand. All right. Let's see if we can run these down real quick. I'm looking for a question. One that I haven't answered.
From Jude the 4. Oh.
Let's see. Oh, will you ever review The Last Jedi? If you put down 30 on the blockbuster tier on Patreon, I will look at The Last Jedi. Outside of that, probably not. If somebody requests The Last Jedi, I might go ahead and because how long is The Last Jedi? Like 3 hours?
No, it's not that long.
How long is it?
It's got to be like around like the 2-hour mark, but not 3. Let me look. I'm gonna check.
I only saw it once. I only saw it that one time when it first came out, and I've been going back to it since. That was the film that broke me and Star Wars up.
32 minutes.
What?
2 hours and 32 minutes.
All right, yeah. You drop 30 on the blockbuster tier. I'll go ahead and I'll take a look at The Last Jedi. Let's see. I lost my spot. Okay. How did you guys feel about? Oh, okay, we already answered that one.
I'm not sure if you already passed over this comment, but guys, what is your favorite quotable moment from characters? Or no, there's other ones up there.
Hang on. I think I'm about to get to. Okay, wait. I got one. Do you think Nick Fury still runs S.h.i.e.L.D. or just run independent spy organization? Well, so it's mostly an independent thing because S.h.i.e.L.D. doesn't have the same affiliations that it used to anymore.
Right.
Because that's what happened with Winter Soldier with the World Security Council. Like S.h.i.e.L.D. Even if it. Okay, so number one, we know what it really is now.
Mm-hmm.
We do know that. We can't talk about that.
Right.
But number two, it is still an independent operation because it's not affiliated with the World Security Council anymore. Oh, and remember this. Remember in Endgame? Because we did have like when Black Widow when they were doing their like virtual conference.
Yeah. There
were world leaders in that conference, and that's just the Avengers operating as themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, S.h.i.E.L.D. is kind of its own thing now.
Yeah, they're operating on a higher level.
Now, hang on. I do have to preface this because it is still canonical. That does not include anything from Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D. Because I haven't seen that show since season 2.
Yeah. Like the only thing that's really inclusive from like the televised shows is Peggy Carter because that was done by Marvel Studios. So the other stuff though, no, that doesn't really apply.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Is Marvel announcing Phase 4 for Comic-Con? Anyone know? They booked their room.
They have a surprise. I think Kevin Feige said he had some kind of surprise. I mean, that can be anything.
Well, dude, remember because what was it? 1 year or 2 years? They weren't even at Comic-Con.
Yeah, they just bowed out. They was like, we're gonna do something. I think it was for D23 when they just went. They saved it for D23.
Okay. Yeah. I remember 1 year they didn't even go.
Last year, I believe.
It was last year. Okay.
I think DC is bowing out this year for whatever reason.
Really? Because they got Wonder Woman 1984 coming out.
Well, I don't know. That's what I heard.
And they got Joker and the Harley Quinn movie. Why would DC not be there this year? That seems weird. Yeah. Oh, and they got Batwoman premiering on the CW? Like, that's what. And the final season of Arrow?
That's what I've been hearing, man. Like, everybody's in this business for themselves now. They're coming up with their own streaming services and stuff. So it's one big battle. It's one big tug of war.
Trying to win that war.
Yeah. That just seems weird that DC wouldn't have a presence this year because they have enough stuff going on this year.
Yeah, I know, right?
Wait, when is Wonder Woman coming out? The new one?
Okay, so that got pushed back till next year. But originally it was slated for this year. Like they have footage, they got trailer footage and everything. So that, and then Joker comes out in October.
Yeah.
And then this should be this Comic-Con would be the first time we see anything from the Birds of Prey movie. That would be like our first footage.
Yeah, I think you would get something. And then I know they I don't know how far along they are on what's the name of that movie? The Suicide Squad movie with
oh yeah, that just started. They just started.
Yeah. I'm interested in seeing how that's gonna go. I'm very interested in seeing how that's gonna go. You heard who they got playing King Shark for that?
I thought it was going to voice over.
That's what I mean. You heard who they have doing the voice for him, right?
Who is it?
It's my boy Yondu.
Oh yeah. That's right. Yeah. Michael
Rooker. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they had me when they said that. I was like, oh yeah, I'm down. And this motherfucker, like this dude, oh damn it. My bad.
It's cool. Let's see. Do you guys feel that MCU Peter Parker should be older, like in the PS4 game where he is 23? To me, that is the best version of Spider-Man / Peter Parker. What you guys think of that?
It depends on what kind of story you're trying to tell. Like the MCU is still somewhat in its infancy, especially now that it's acquired most of its library. So, with that, they're really going to spread their wings and fly. I always preferred a younger Peter because you can tell more compelling stories with him. That's what it was all about in the beginning. This kid that broke that stereotype of having this chiseled chin, grown-up man that has to be buff. It's a kid dealing with these problems that most of the other upper echelon superheroes have to deal with. So I prefer my Peter young so I can actually see him become an adult.
And I also go ahead, Irvin. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just agreeing with him that was when you think of the origin of why the character was even made to be, that was the reason for it.
Damn, them fuckers are loud out there.
Oh, I mean my mic.
Is that the fam? Because it sounds like it's right outside your window.
It's not my family; it's my neighbor. So
okay, I got you. I know it sounds close. Because I was about to say, I'm like, dude, if that's the fam, get your ass outside and go pop some fireworks.
No, I'll just mute the mic, when I'm not speaking. That way, it's not clouding up everything for you guys.
All right, cool. But no, I would say, like you said, it depends on the story. Now, personally, for the MCU, I like that Peter. I had to come. It took me a while. I had to come around on it, but I do like the fact that he is still in high school. Or at least he's significantly younger, because I've always liked the fact that he's so much younger than his villains,
right?
And the dynamic that presents. So, and then also because here's the other thing too. Like, let's be, we saw some of this in Homecoming, but dude, in the comics, this has always been a thing. See, Peter being a kid, the adults that he has to go up against will use his peers against him.
Mm-hmm.
That historically has always been the case with Harry and Norman.
Right.
Like Norman always tries to kind of use Harry against Peter. So whether it is manipulating Harry to be adversarial towards Peter, or it's to kind of blackmail Peter, where it's like, oh, if you don't do this, I'll either hurt Harry, or I will reveal your secret to Harry, or Harry's gonna, it makes more sense to me that the villain will try to use, just like in Far From Home, that the villain will try to use those closest to Peter against him.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to pull that off when those people are kids as opposed to adults.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely. Because like I always say, Peter is at the mercy of his obsession, and sometimes that obsession of being Spider-Man backfires in his personal life. That's what people love about the character, is how those two dynamics intertwine, with him being Peter Parker and him being Spider-Man. So, and seeing how a teenager handles these situations is what makes it more interesting.
That's another thing too. Like the level of naivete that Peter has, you could only pull that off with a kid.
Mm-hmm.
it'd be really hard to pull that off with an adult, like the shit Peter does in Far From Home.
Yeah,
Dude, an adult couldn't have done that.
and to answer his question too, because he talks about the is this the one where they talk about the Spider-Man PS4 version?
Yes, compared to the Spider-Man PS4 version.
Yeah, if you're gonna go with an adult version of Peter, that Peter is definitely gonna be more confident, and like he's gonna be more confident and more seasoned than he's ever been, and that's kind of like depreciate the value of him as a character, in my opinion, unless you've known what he's been up to. And in the case of the MCU, you want to know what that character's been up to from start to finish or wherever they're gonna be at.
Yeah, dude. Like to give the best example of this, it would be like, look what Into the Spideyverse did.
Yeah.
That Spider-Man at the start of Into the Spideyverse, that's not the Spider-Man you needed for this story, because that Spider-Man was like fucking Jordan in his prime.
Yeah,
we had to kill him off so that we could get the Spider-Man that struggles, that has to grow, that has to go through the journey. You know what I'm saying? So it's like yeah, there are pros and cons to both. It just depends on which story you're going for.
Exactly.
Oh no, I can agree with that as well. I actually didn't think that they were going to do that Into the Spider-Verse, kill off that Spider-Man. I mean, I thought maybe
that's how Miles' origin story happened.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, I don't know why I didn't think it was going to happen. When I saw it,
I was anticipating that because I'm like, well, that's how Miles.
I mean, I know how it happened in the comics, with, of course, Doc Ock and everything, but I don't know. I just wasn't expecting it to be in the way that it did. I don't know but I mean, in other words, though, I mean, I feel like I can't really compare the PS4 Spider-Man only because I've never played the PS4 game, but I hear that a lot of people say that's the best version. Of Spider-Man.
And they've actually canonized that character because he's in a comic book that's a sequel to the Spider-Verse comic. It's called Spider-Geddon, and he's from Earth 1048, which is called the Gameverse. It's a pretty good read. Yeah, so that's the Peter Parker you want. Keep on reading on him because they're going to continue his stories.
This is off subject, but do you guys think all hope is lost, especially with this MCU Spider-Man, with them ever having any moment with like Venom?
No.
Yeah, I mean,
no. Sony.
I can't see it with like a young Peter Parker dealing with Venom. I can't see it. Like
Sony. So, dude, I'm gonna be real with you. Because Sony keeps talking about doing the whole crossover thing, and we know they could because they have the rights, right? But you know what I think is more likely to happen if they were to try to do that anytime soon? Remember, in the Venom film, Venom is actually the hero.
Mm-hmm.
What I think they might end up doing is is it the Maximum Carnage story when him and Venom team up against Carnage?
Yeah.
That's what they'll do. That's what they'll do. They'll team him and Spider-Man up against Carnage.
Yeah.
That's what I think they'll do.
I think Venom, like with Venom, he was always that test to see what can we do without using our main franchise player. You know what I'm saying? So now that he has his close to $1 billion blockbuster, I think they'll kind of use him solo for a while, but slowly but surely you'll start seeing like a cross-pollination of those two.
They got two, bro.
Right.
Sony has made 2 fucking Spider-Man movies without the main Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was like a fucking box office blockbuster success financially, and the other one won a goddamn Oscar.
Yeah. I heard
they don't even need Spider-Man.
They don't. That's what I mean. It's like they have so many things. Like, I mean, as much as people talk trash about Amy Pascal, she kind of has like a little formula that's working for her with Pascal Productions and what they do with their Spider-Man films. I hope that this one right here, this one go ahead and just breaks that $1 billion threshold, because this will be the first time that Spider-Man film has ever done that. And it'll show them that, oh yeah, let's go ahead and keep on working with Marvel, if we want to keep on making that money, because Sony hasn't had a $1 billion movie in I don't know how long. It's been a while.
So here's the thing about that though. Like I see the whole $1 billion threshold thing. Okay, fine and dandy. Okay, cool. But here's the thing: prior to the Amazing films, every Spider-Man, all of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man broke record.
Oh yeah,
highest grossing weekend.
Oh yeah,
and those records were only broken by the successors. Spider-Man 1 set the record for highest grossing weekend. That record stayed until Spider-Man 2 broke it, and then that record stayed until Spider-Man 3 broke it.
Yeah, the highest record for a Tuesday opening was the Amazing Spider-Man, and this Spider-Man just broke that one.
Yep, there you go. Oh yeah, I forgot that came out on a Tuesday. You're right.
Yep.
Because wasn't that like the week after Dark Knight Rises?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was because what was that, like July 25th of 2012, something like that?
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, I think July 25th was like the Friday date.
And what's so messed up about it, all of this wasn't even Marvel's plan. They didn't want to bring this movie out this early. They wanted to let people sit on the Endgame movie. But Sony's like, nope, we're going to do it. We're going to push out promotions before Endgame comes out. We're going to do it our way.
Well, I mean, it worked for them.
Yeah, it paid.
I'm going to get back to these questions real quick. So we talked about that one. Non-movie question: favorite Spider-Man artist in story arc?
McFarlane, Todd McFarlane, and what is my favorite story arc?
I would probably have to go with McFarlane as well. My favorite Spider-Man story arc is it might be not the first Sinister Six, the second Sinister Six. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, the second one was with oh wait, Shocker was in the second one, right?
I think so.
It was the first Sinister. Yeah, because I don't think Shocker was in the first one. I think Shocker was in the second one. That storyline. The one with Shocker, when he was a member of the Sinister Six.
Yeah, I like the Ultimates.
Because wasn't Scorpion in the second one as well?
Yeah, I think so. That's when they were changing up the lineup or the team.
Yes. That Sinister Six. That was my favorite story.
There's so many different iterations of that.
Because the first one is Vulture, Mysterio, Rhino, Sandman, Ock, and Chameleon?
Yeah, Chameleon.
I think that's the first one. Shocker and Scorpion come in the second one. Yeah.
Yeah, mine's this Ultimate. Like, I really got a kick out of Brian Michael Bendis's Peter Parker. And
Revenge of the Sinister Six. There you go. Yes. That one.
Yep. Toss it over to you, Irvin. What's your favorite?
Well, I mean, I think for the most part, I'd agree with what you guys were saying. I'm just looking. I'm actually, because I wasn't familiar with which ones.
Yeah, I wish you would just talk.
Which Sinister Six. Because you guys were talking about. Oh no, you're talking about the artists. I'm sorry, I'm so focused on the Sinister Six. I was actually looking them up right now, like as far as the different iterations. As far as artists, I probably would say my favorite artist would be Todd McFarlane in terms of for Spider-Man.
Yeah, he revolutionized the way the webbing looks and stuff, and how the costume can be more. I think he probably had the most poses, the most iconic Spider-Man poses.
Venom. That by itself.
Right. Yeah, that's not the most graceful with the pen when it comes to writing, but definitely a pretty solid artist. The one of the best.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I just saw something else. I was like, what the? Okay. I need to stay off social media, man. That shit.
No, I hear you.
I can't with people no more, bro.
I know what you mean.
Let's see, Larry, who's your favorite Marvel character? I know Superman is your favorite DC character, but I never heard about Marvel characters. Wolverine is my number one favorite. Cap is a close second. T'Challa is my third.
Tight. I want to say more.
Iceman.
Mine's is Magneto.
Yeah, Magneto is my favorite comic book villain, though.
Oh,
Like, regardless of, you know, DC or Marvel, Magneto's my favorite comic book villain. Because Magneto is the one villain 90% of the time I agree with.
mm-hmm.
He's a genocidal maniac. Yes, he is. But there is a method to his madness.
He's basically Malcolm X with powers.
Yeah, but Malcolm wasn't trying to kill everybody. Malcolm was about segregation.
Yeah.
Not annihilation. Not extermination. Malcolm was like, no, we need to take our people and go back home.
Yeah.
Magneto's like, no, we need to wipe the rest of these mofos off the planet.
How do you feel about Michael Fassbender's portrayal of
Love
Magneto?
him.
That's my favorite.
Love him. Love him. No disrespect to Sir Ian McKellen, but Fassbender, dude, what I love about Fassbender's portrayal, he made Magneto scary.
Mm-hmm.
And prior to, so we've never saw scary Magneto live action, and then I would say even animated, dude, like on television, the last time I saw Magneto like that was the first season of X-Men Evolution.
And the necklace scene, man, if you know what I'm talking about, and when what was it? I forget which X-Men movie it was in. I think it was a necklace.
First Class.
Yeah,
the
First
necklace
Class.
Scene? Yeah, when he was choking Emma.
No. It wasn't that scene. Was it a necklace? I'm trying to remember where he took.
Oh no, that was the bed frame. I'm sorry. Yeah, he wrapped the bed frame around her neck.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, I'm gonna find it real quick because I don't remember if it was a necklace. It was something that he had. It was similar to like a necklace. Hold on.
I think you talk about from Apocalypse.
Yeah, I didn't like that movie that much, but that scene.
Yeah, I kind of burn that out of my memory. No, dude, my favorite. It's one of my favorite, arguably my favorite Magneto live action scene. The fucking bullet.
Yeah.
When Days of Future Past, when Mystique jumped out the window and she lands and that mofo starts dragging her by the bullet in her leg. I was like, oh my God.
Bro,
and then dude, you talk about scores? Dude, that score,
mm-hmm.
I was like, he's about to kill her.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like that, dude, when I was watching that in the theater, I was like, oh my God.
Bro, the best scene to me would have to be in that bar when he had that knife.
Mm-hmm. In First Class.
Yeah, he stabs one guy in the hand and he grabs a knife and hits somebody with it, and then
calls it back and then slams it back on the table.
Yeah, I was like, bro.
and then pulls his hair back and takes a drink.
Yeah. I was like, bro, we got to get Matthew Vaughn back in this too, man. I'm talking so highly about Joss Whedon playing an X-Men director, but Matthew Vaughn, like, which he wrote, he actually did write what's the name, Days of Futures Past, but he didn't want it. It was still in the oven. He didn't want it to be produced so early, like Fox did when they just jumped the gun. But yeah, that's definitely another one of my candidates for an X-Men MCU writer or director.
Actually, this is a question for you guys. I've always kind of wondered a little bit. Why do I hear a lot of people hate Cyclops so much?
I mean, I don't necessarily hate Cyclops. I just don't think he's been done.
Well, not necessarily you, but I'm just saying, just in general, like I hear that a lot.
I understand the hate movies
because no one's done them well yet.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Cyclops has not been done well, in my opinion, since X-Men Evolution.
Exactly. It's like they hadn't even got his powers right. How can you make this guy shoot like superpowered Superman laser beams out of his eyes when they're not even heat based? They're concussive. They're not meant to burn through things. They just hit hard. They haven't even nailed that down. You know what I'm saying? There are so many things they need to do right with that character. He's a master of. He knows how to fight good. He's like on the same level as Cap when it comes to like different martial arts and stuff like
tactician.
Yeah, he's a tactician. Yes, I mean, yeah, master tactician.
Yeah, dude, they just haven't done Cyclops well. That's the thing. And what's funny, so first and foremost, like especially when we talk about these type of discussions, when we're talking about like popular opinion, I usually don't even I stop taking source material into consideration because most people don't read the comics. Like that's a fact. Exactly. You can go to Diamond's website and look at the unit sales. Most people don't read the comics. So then at that point you have to look at what material are these people being exposed to? And I'll go as far as to admit that's the fault of that material. And what I'm saying is, when you look at that material in the live action films, we have not done Cyclops well at all. And then even animated, like I said, X-Men Evolution was the last time I thought they did him well, because what we do with him in X-Men and the Wolverine, the animated series, it's an interesting take on him, but that's the old depressed douchebag Cyclops that no one's going to like anyway.
Right.
And X-Men Evolution, it's a different, is a little different portrayal, because they turned him back into a teenager, right? But like, even though he's kind of like the stiff leader of that, of that X-Men group, there are two fucking stories in X-Men Evolution. That motherfucker is awesome. The story, any story with his little brother, with Alex, because he goes all out for Alex.
Yeah.
Number one. And number two, if y'all remember that series, X-Men Evolution, I think it was
on DVD.
Season 3, when Xavier went missing.
I vaguely remember. It's been a long time since I've watched it.
Scott, dude, he was flipping fucking tables. And dude, because Xavier goes missing, and then they find out Mystique was actually impersonating Xavier the entire time. Dude, Scott.
Oh yeah, he was going to blow her head off.
Dude, he left her for dead when they infiltrated that military compound. He left her ass.
Yep.
He was like, either you tell us where the professor is, or you not getting out of this fucking cage. And she was like, either let me go, or you'll never find out where he is. It's like, fuck it, I'll take my chances. Bye.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? Like, dude, like Scott, dude, that's fucking Cyclops, dude. That's Cyclops done well. And we have not done that since then. And dude, that series ended in 2005.
Yeah, something like that.
So, dude, it's been 14 years since we had a decent portrayal of Cyclops. And to talk about the source material, I don't know if y'all been keeping up with the new X-Men. They still can't get Cyclops right there.
Yeah, it's a trip.
They're constantly changing his characterization. Like, he's a different person depending on who's writing him.
Like I say, check out Josh Whedon's Astonishing X-Men. Want a good Cyclops, because he deals with a lot of stuff. Especially from a relationship standpoint. If you're somebody in a relationship and you have like these on and off relationships and other stuff that's going on, that's where you're really gonna relate to the character, because he juggles a lot of stuff.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Going back to the how do you feel about Spider-Man's villains being more tied to Tony's past than Peter's past? Do you think that distracts from Spider-Man's growth as a character? No, because they're still Peter's problem.
Exactly. And Tony Stark, you just got to admit that he's the architect that helped build this. He's the modern day Hephaestus. He's the guy with the hammer. He helped sculpt this universe, so there are going to be lingering after effects of things that he contributed to, so.
I guess the thing is, they're just going to have to eventually get him to be from underneath Tony's shadow, because I feel like he's still kind of there.
Yeah, there's still a ripple effect going on with that character, and it's still fresh. His body's still warm, even though it's in the grave, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's see. Wait, did I admit? No. Okay, here. Favorite Thor movie? Oh, we don't want to talk about that.
I would say Thor 1.
Dark World.
I like
Dark World.
I don't have a favorite Thor movie. Those are the only MCU movies that I didn't get a chance to see in theaters. I missed out on the first two because I didn't want to see them, and the third one, stuff just happens,
Yeah, I like Dark World, dude. I think Dark World is the most Thor of the Thor movies. Dark World is the most Thor, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If you've read the Thor comics, Dark World is the most Thor of the Thor movies.
I guess a lot of people don't like Thor.
They don't. That's why Ragnarok turned out the way. That's why Ragnarok is Guardians 2.5.
I was about to say that. Like, when they're not Guardians 2.5, I was going to say it felt more Guardians.
Which is why they're talking about making the third one as Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, Thor is more Chris Hemsworthy than he's ever been before. I'll just say that much. He's not playing Thor. He's playing himself nowadays.
Oh, what is this one? Thoughts on David Morrissey? Possible play Norman Osborn in the third Spider-Man, and how would we introduce him? Well, first off, I'm not familiar with that name. I have to look up who that actor is, but I would say that I mean, we've already kind of set up the perfect we've kind of set up the perfect scapegoat for Norman to be introduced with this Spider-Man, because Peter is without a father figure because Tony's gone. So, I mean, that's the perfect setup.
Yeah.
That is the perfect setup. Now, it would be kind of hard for you to do that whole thing given what happened in Far From Home. But here's the thing. That's why I keep saying you introduce Norman, you don't do Green Goblin. Don't do Green Goblin, but do Norman.
Right. Maybe
I need to see which who actor. Oh, okay. Yeah. I recognize that actor.
That guy's pretty tall too. They say he's 6'2".
Oh yeah, that's right. I did hear about that because that's what boy from Walking Dead. I did hear about that. Yeah.
And then here's take over Stark Tower too.
here's the other thing too, though. I would want Norman to be an MCU character more so than strictly a Spider-Man character. Like I would want to see him in other movies too.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely got to have a character that's going to be out there, establishes himself in all the different films.
Okay, this the one that that Urban brought up earlier. He said, "Guys, what was your favorite quotable moment from characters?" My favorite lines was when Cap, Iron Man, Thor all agree to fight Thanos. Favorite quotable line from the MCU?
I know what it's like to lose, to feel so desperately that you're right, but to fail all the same. Dread it, run from it. Destiny arrives all the same. At least you could say, I am, or something like that. He said, I forget how it goes, but something like that. I love that quote for some reason. I was like obsessed with that quote for the longest.
I mean,
best way to open up a movie.
I mean, the one I can think of is the one that I've been quoting for the last 11 years. They say that the best weapon never has to be used. I respectfully disagree. I think that the best weapon you only have to use once. That's how Dad did it. That's how America does it. And it's worked out pretty well for us so far.
Oh my goodness.
Or what was it from Iron Man 2? It's like, I just privatized world peace. It's like, I tried to play ball with you, asshole.
I don't know. I think Nick Fury has a lot of memorable lines, or some of the most badass lines. Like when Loki asked Nick Fury how desperate he is, he's like, how desperate am I? You threaten my world with war. You steal a force you can't hope to control. You talk about peace and you kill because it's fun. You may have me desperate. You might not be glad that you did, like stuff like that. And that part where he has that thing that Loki's in where he's like, Ant,
boot,
boot, yeah.
Or no,
bitch,
dude,
please, you've been to space.
Right. Or dude, how about in the first Avengers when they was like it's like Director Fury, we told you to we gave you our suggestion. He said, yeah, but on account of it being a dumbass suggestion, I decided against it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Nick got a lot of them, man.
Or shit, I'm trying to think of another one. Well, I mean, Thor has a bunch of funny one-liners. Oh, dude, you know what my new favorite one is? In Infinity War, when Thor says Nivalir, and then Quill's like, that word's made up. He says, all words are made up. Because it's true.
Oh yeah, and there's that one with Peter, like when Gamora was in his ship for the first time. She's like, "Your ship is disgusting."
He's like, she has no idea. Yeah. If I had a black light, this place would look like a Jackson Pollock painting.
My coworker bust out laughing.
Dude, when I was in the theater, I was crying, laughing. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, oh my God. We put that in a kid's film.
Yeah, Peter has a lot of funny lines. He has like, if you guys were using what was in your head instead of using what's between your legs, this ship would have landed easy. He's like, hey, if my whatever between my leg did have a hand, I could have landed the ship. I was like, bro, Peter.
Dude, no. The one for the longest time that was killing me, Drax, when he's it's like his people are literal. Metaphors would just go over his head. It's like nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, Drax is pretty funny. Although they really made comic relief out of his character. You know?
Oh man.
Oh.
So yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, I mean, this is technically digressing, but how do you guys feel like how they've done Hulk in the movies, man, recently? Like, I don't know. I'm not feeling it. I'm not trying to be negative, but like, oh man.
I liked Professor Hulk. I'm just mad that they can't make a Hulk film because of the whole thing with Universal. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say that I felt like we were cheated because once again, it's like we missed out on a movie. What got Hulk from the end of Age of Ultron to Ragnarok? That was a movie we didn't get to see.
Right.
And I felt like we got cheated on that.
Yeah, like we didn't get a chance to see that big rematch at all.
I was hoping for something with Thanos. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, that was just the fan in me. I'm not saying. I mean, he technically already did what he was supposed to do in the film. We all know the end result of that, of course. I mean, I guess at this point, everybody's probably seen the movie, Endgame or whatnot. I mean, am I clear to talk?
Yeah, Endgame spoilers are fair game.
Okay. I mean, we know he did the snap. So I mean, he technically did what he was supposed to do. The character was supposed to do. He was relevant in the film. So that's why I'm kind of saying it's more from a fan's perspective that I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, I wanted him to, get a little lick in on Thanos or something at some point in the film, especially since everybody else kind of had their moment to do a little dance, especially Scarlet Witch. I loved that. In fact, I probably say that was probably one of my favorite moments in the MCU period is when she's like, you took everything away from me. He's like, I don't even know who you are.
Yeah, dude, this is funny. I just read the comment. One of my subscribers already answered what my favorite Thor movie was. When I just read it in the comic. I mean, in the comments. I'm like, yeah, because I probably said that on my channel at some point that Thor: The Dark World is my favorite one.
Oh
wow. Anybody geek out when saw Spider-Man pick up the sign and charge drones like Captain America in Endgame when he ran out of web shooters? That's what that was supposed to be.
I
got those vibes actually. I did when I saw those
vibes, but I thought that was kind of cool because Tom is from the UK and supposedly that's like a popular sign in the UK. So I thought it was just like a little reference to him actually being, in home.
Oh no, I thought it was Endgame references for sure. The way that they did it.
I thought Happy's funny moment, like when he had something, he was like, "So why does that work for Cap?" Like I thought that was more of a funny and a good reference.
Oh yeah,
yeah, with the shield. Yeah,
I busted out, like I was busting my balls laughing at that part.
Let's see, who was the best actor that played Spider-Man? Tobey Maguire, bro.
Yeah, I'm still with that. I mean, he didn't capture the funny aspect as much as the other ones did, with Spider-Man, but the nerdy aspect he did.
Yeah, he like, and it's not a knock against Tobey Maguire, but he does a really good pathetic Peter Parker.
Wait, hold on. I actually just thought about this. Is it because we're saying he was better overall, but like who did a better Spider-Man? Who did a better Peter Parker? That I think you can kind of separate it a little bit.
I like Tom's Peter Parker a lot better. I wish he could be a little more quippier because it seems like they had that down when they introduced him into Civil War, but for some reason it's been watered down because they want to make him seem like he's hesitant.
I still think Tobey Maguire, bro.
No, I mean
in both aspects, both as Peter Parker and as Spider-Man, you think he was better in both?
Mm-hmm. Like, now I'll give Garfield credit. Like his Spider-Man isn't okay. If anything, I would probably say Garfield Spider-Man, because the banter
I'll say
is better.
Yeah, Garfield Spider-Man 2. I think he has the aesthetics down. That's the most comic-looking Spider-Man I've seen out of all of them, especially that second costume, like an Amazing Spider-Man 2. And the way he's built, he has that kind of lanky build that complements those like weird kind of gestures and poses that Spider-Man does when he's swinging.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can give it to Garfield for the aesthetic, but I'll give it to Tom for the overall package, and I'll give it to Tobey for the heart and the Peter Parker.
I actually would say I think that Garfield had the best Spider-Man, but the weakest Peter Parker.
Yes.
I think that Tobey Maguire was the best overall, well-rounded, in both categories. Like, obviously, I already said he was the nerdiest, and I think he was. I feel like of course, both of the only thing that's hard about me comparing them is like I feel like they were going for different things. Like to me, the Peter Parker in the first Spider-Man movies, like the Tobey Maguire one, he felt more like a little bit more experienced, than of course the Tom Holland one that you would get. So I would say it's probably overall, like I would say Tom Holland is like behind Tobey Maguire, in terms of being well-rounded, but I think that Andrew Garfield did have the strongest Spider-Man in comparison, and his Peter Parker was the weakest. Because to me, his Peter Parker to me felt a little bit more. He didn't feel nerdy. He didn't feel nerdy at all to me. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Like you just a skater punk.
Yeah, now that was the problem, But I think when you would see him in action, as Spider-Man, I felt like he felt more like, and I'm not even talking about in terms of look. I'm talking about in terms of how he would act. He felt a lot more like what you would see in, read in the comic to me.
Yeah. I'll give Garfield that credit. I think, he did a better job in the suit, but Tobey, I think, did a better job as Peter Parker, and I would even argue maybe overall, because the suit thing was the only thing Garfield had going for him, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But of course, we're talking live action, because if we're talking about best adapted Spider-Man,
oh yeah,
spectacular,
definitely.
That's it, spectacular. That all of it.
You're talking about like the animated series, spectacular. I mean, I liked it. It was good.
That was best ever.
Yeah,
done.
Awesome.
Done. Best ever. Ever.
I don't know if I say ever, but
I mean, I'll say the 90s animated is the second best. I mean, what else do we have to compare? And then we
because you have what? There's Ultimate Spider-Man.
The 60s.
But is that Spider-Man?
Huh?
Is that really a contender?
Ultimate?
Yeah.
If you talk to some of the kids, yeah, it is. And then there's another Spider-Man that came out after that.
That was trash.
I've never seen it.
Yeah,
I've never seen it. The one that's based off of like the Holland Spider-Man.
It's suffering from a lot of what's happening with newer shows, like trying to be too MCU-ish, lacking quality in terms of like the art direction and animation. No shading or any of that. Like the colors are just bland. Like if you see any of those newer Avengers shows,
I know they all look the same.
They look the same. That's what I'm saying. They just don't look good.
That's the only thing
I haven't watched a Marvel
animated
show in a while. Like, I mean, to me, they never hold a candle to DC's.
Like those. Like I haven't watched any of those shows. I've seen clips. They all look the same.
They lack identity. It's like they're trying to be too much like the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Aesthetics and the personalities and everything. They just don't do it for me.
All right, gentlemen. With that note, I'm gonna have to go ahead and I'm gonna have to wrap this thing up because it's getting late. I want to get a couple of drinks in before the night's out, and I need to take my ass to bed soon because I got to get up and bang out in the gym in the morning.
Oh, so snap. You trying to be Spider-Man now?
Trying to be that Luke Cage.
Wait, what?
Trying to be Luke Cage.
Oh yeah, that boy say he can outrun Usain Bolt.
Right?
Try to get my cage on, man. Got to get my cage on.
Hey, I don't blame
so let's go ahead. Let's sign this one off, fellas. tell the people where they can find you, and we'll start off with my man Espo.
Okay, guys, you can find me on my YouTube channel called Random Black Gamer, where we do video games and we talk about certain comic book material. You can also find me at my Twitter handle, which is Random Black Game, because I couldn't fit the R in there. You can find me on there. You can also find me on my Instagram, Random Black Gamer 88, where you can actually see what I look like and all the stuff that I'm up to.
Okay, well, definitely make sure you check out Random Black Gamer. As far as where you can find me, Irvin, you can find me at Shining Otaku Comics. You should be able to see it right here on the screen. If you go to the Shining Otaku Facebook page, we're on Facebook and we're on Twitter, as well as we are on, we have our own website. So you can go to shiningotaku.com. We have manga to read on there, our own manga that we create. And we also have interviews with different creators and voice actors, you name it, on our page. And I actually want to thank Larry, of course, for having me on today.
Oh, yeah. Appreciate that, Larry.
Not a problem, fellas. I appreciate y'all coming through. And of course, if you're watching this channel, hopefully you're already a subscriber. But if you are not, feel free, become a subscriber to the OAW Entertainment YouTube channel. Press that subscribe button and also press that bell, because YouTube's been acting funny recently with getting notifications out to people. But if you press that bell icon, you will be notified with every new upload and every live stream that happens on the channel. So if you're not a subscriber yet, become a subscriber, press that bell. You can also find me at facebook.com/OAW Entertainment, twitter.com/OAW ENTMT, all right, which is abbreviated for entertainment. And of course, patreon.com/OAW. And once again, if you have yet to become a patron of OAW Entertainment, check out the Patreon page. As I mentioned before, there are various tiers that are available. And those tiers range from anywhere from early access to YouTube videos, access to Patreon exclusive content, including the OAW Vault, which is the collection of the first 2 seasons of Otaku Assemble Weekly, which was the web series that started the channel. Producer credit. Let's see, discussion of the week, topic request, advice corner, private hangouts, the comic and manga review requests, and finally the blockbuster tier, which is the film, television, and anime review request. All of those are available via Patreon. Become a patron today. Check it out, patreon.com/OAW. Yeah, so that's pretty much going to wrap up this review for us. Man, what did we go, like 2 hours, man? I was trying to make this short. We got to talking, man, and fucking MJs and Nick Furies and got crazy all over the place. But anyway, thank everybody for checking out. Once again, fine. Let's go ahead and let's sign this off. Random Black Gamer.
Black Gamer signing out. It was an honor being in this panel with the legendary Otaku Assemble, aka the rebranded OAW Entertainment, and it's also an honor to actually be in the same podcast with my boy Urban right here. What was it? Game Cloud or
Game on Cloud 9 at Shining Otaku.
Yes, I remember. We also have this is like a remnant group of the Cloud Village.
Oh yeah, I guess you can say.
Were we all in the Cloud Village?
We were all in the
Cloud
Village at the same time.
Yeah, even Irvin jumped in the discussion that we were in. He got invited to a discussion that we were all in. Remember?
Yeah, we were all part of the Cloud Village at one point.
Yep.
Dude, I lost track because Cloud Village was
S.h.i.e.l.d.
like Wu-Tang, man. Yeah. Like we had like 200 members.
We had our own albums and everything. You know what I'm saying? I had the Golden Arms album. Larry had the 34 Chambers.
Yeah, Larry had he was a member for 2 hours and then bounced.
Same with me. I was a member that was struggling with Skype Mobile.
Man.
Dude, those live streams at the back of Walmart on your breaks?
Yeah.
Oh man, I remember those.
See? Good times, man.
All right, Irvin.
Well, this is Irvin. Well, you guys already know my name at this point and said it a couple times. Game on Cloud 9, Shining Otaku, whatever you want to refer to me as. Signing out. again, thank you so much, Larry, for having me on the day. You know, it was a good discussion talking about Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. And I guess whatever the next movie that comes out, the next Marvel movie or any movie, you know, hopefully we can all have a good discussion about that as well.
Are you coming in on the future of the MCU discussion?
I didn't know you were having one, but I guess I didn't see the post about it. But
I didn't put it in the group chat yet. It's because originally we were going to do it after Endgame, but after the whole Far From Home being the last Phase 3 thing, I put it off. So if you are free, I'm gonna hit you up in the group chat. It's gonna be sometime this weekend. I don't know when, but it's gonna be sometime this weekend.
Okay. I know on Saturday I had something planned. But I mean, so it depends on the time of day on Saturday, because I know I might be out like in the night. But like as far as Sunday, for sure, I should be able to probably be able to do it Sunday, or actually even tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm free. Tomorrow night, if you guys are doing anything tomorrow night.
I'm gonna see whatever day I can get the most people on. That's the day we're gonna go with.
Okay.
All right, and with that being said, this has been Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief, OAW Entertainment Commander-in-Chief, OAW Comics Editor-in-Chief, and I'm signing off. Until next time, peace.
Peace.